Okay, I'm at Hot Docs with Steve James, the director who's probably most famously known for Hoop Dreams, and he's here with his new documentary called The Interrupters. And first, do you want to just say what the film's about?
Well, The Interrupters is about a group out of Chicago called the Violence Interrupters. They work for this organization, Ceasefire. And what they are is ex-gangbangers, drug dealers, convicts, who now work in the neighborhoods they were once a real problem in, and they try to mediate violent conflict. So we followed these three interrupters over the course of a year, see the work they do, and also find out who they are.
And one of the strongest elements, I think, of the film is the access that you got, but not only that, but how you use that access, where it feels very intimate, but you don't feel like you're in the characters' faces, and it's often very volatile and some violent situations. And I'm just wondering how that, like, first of all, how you got the access, but also how you were able to negotiate that space with the subjects without feeling like you were interfering too much.
Yeah, well, I think the key in those situations is, number one, is you have to have a presence in the neighborhoods for a while, so that people get a sense of who you are and that you're not the cops or some sting operation or whatever. So that's important. And then the other part of it, very important, is that we had to have the kind of trusting relationship with the interrupters themselves, so that when we go into those situations, they communicate to people that we're okay. And a lot of times it can be verbal, but a lot of it is more than verbal. It's because they're known in these neighborhoods. So if we show up and there's a comfort level between us and the subjects, our interrupter subjects, people pick up on that and they read it differently than if they came in and they're acting weird and strange. Then that would suddenly change the whole game. So, and I think in terms of proximity, it has to do, it's a question of what's going on. When something is more out of control, I stay back. When something feels like I'm invading a private space, like when Amina's talking to this group of guys at one point that are surrounding her, I didn't force my way into the center of the group to get a great shot. I stood on the exterior and got a shot. But then in other situations, when it's a more intimate situation, I'm able to get pretty close, especially if there's a relationship there with the person that the interrupter's talking to.
And watching the film, because the drama is so intense and it's so beautifully shot and superbly constructed, that at times you almost feel like this could be like a television series or dramatic representation because of those elements. I'm wondering if you can just say something about the difference between documentary and fiction, and if there's different audiences reached, if this could be parlayed into like a fiction or fiction, but based
Right.
on real characters.
Yeah, I think it certainly could. I think it could be the basis for a movie or a dramatic series. I think that I know that for me the fiction films that I tend to like the most these days, not historically but these days, are the ones that feel the most sort of authentic in that kind of documentary way. I mean, what's interesting is that in the world of documentaries are becoming much more fluid in terms of representations of reality. And in the fiction world, there's this strong movement towards doing stories in a very doc style, right?
Yeah.
And some of the most lauded films of the last 10 years have been films that fall into that category. And I think when that works, and when it works well, it gives fiction films a sense of not just authenticity, but urgency, and that too often fiction films maybe lack.
So it's like social realism, like
Yeah.
The Wire.
The Wire is a perfect example,
Yeah.
and people have made connections between The Interrupters and The Wire, which I love because The Wire is like my all-time favorite dramatic series. But that series is fiction, and there are things in it that would never happen in real life.
Okay.
Amsterdam, if you're a Wire fan.
Yeah.
Would never happen.
Yeah.
But it was constructed by people who had a truly thorough and up-close understanding of the world in which they were creating that series. David Simon and Ed Burns, not the Ed Burns, the other Ed Burns, but the Ed Burns of The Wire, was a cop and a former public school teacher. And Simon was a reporter for Baltimore that spent a year on this corner. So that series it breathes authenticity because of that experience, even though it is a work of fiction.
It comes through. It definitely does. Um, and so, just lastly, quickly, two things. Last night you told us that the Interrupters, you gave the name because it's sounds like a film about heroes, right?
Yeah.
Superheroes,
Yeah.
you mentioned. I think it's totally true. The characters are heroic for what they do, and that definitely comes out in the film. And I think audiences definitely take that away. But what else? What else do you want to accomplish with the film?
I mean, there's a lot of things we'd love to accomplish with the film, but I think among the most important are, when we went into this film, I did this film with my friend and the author Alex Kalowitz. We both knew that this would be, dark subject matter, that there would be a lot of pain and suffering and tragedy, and certainly there is that in the movie. I think the thing we didn't expect to come out the other end of it was to be quite so inspired by the work that the Interrupters do. But you do, and people have told us that they come out of the movie unexpectedly moved and inspired, not just devastated.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And to see the difference that people can make in other people's lives at crucial moments in their lives when they try to mediate a bond of conflict, and then not only get them past that moment, that 30 seconds of rage, as one of our subjects would call it, but also can actually then impact their lives going forward to help them turn it in a different direction.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you teamed up with your co.
He's a producer.
Okay,
He was a
producer. Yeah. What's his name?
Alex Kalowitz.
Alex Kalowitz, and it's based on the article he wrote in the
In
New York Times, which is also good. And how can people find more information? What's the website for the film?
Theinterrupters.com.
Theinterrupters.com, and everybody watching this should find that film and go see it because it's an amazing, inspiring, beautiful piece of work. And thank you, Steve, for taking the time to talk to us at Hot Docs 2011.
Thank you.